Hello, and welcome to Talk to Downtown. My name is Courtney Wood. I'm the Economic Development Director for the Downtown Stockton Alliance, which is the 501c6 nonprofit property-based business improvement district serving downtown Stockton. This webinar series is intended to connect our business owners, property owners, visitors, and residents with the organizations, people, and resources who can help them address issues which are of top concern to them. Today, we're going to be talking all about special event permitting. We have special guests, Jon Wright and Laura Garcia here from the City of Stockton Special Events Department. We'll begin by allowing Laura and Jon to go ahead and introduce themselves and share a little bit about their roles at the Special Events Department. Then I will go ahead and ask them my list of questions, and at the end, we will open it up to the viewers to go ahead and type in your questions in the comments. So with that, thank you both so much for being here today. I'm really excited to learn all about events, how people can host them, especially with everything opening up. So with that, please tell us a little bit about yourselves, Laura and Jon, and what you guys do at the Special Events Department.
Well, Courtney, we just want to say thank you for having us, and we're really excited to have this interview. All right, well, I'll get started. My name is Laura. If you have a special event and you'd like to bring it to Stockton, you're likely going to be meeting with me. I'm the Recreation Program Coordinator for Special Events. I've been with the city for about 3 years now. I help with the permitting process and answering any questions between the city and Stockton, and also the organizers. So from just the dream of having your event to you having the event and having all the folks come out to enjoy it, we'll be here to help you with that process.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura, for being here.
Thank you.
And Jon.
Hi, Jon Wright, Recreation Superintendent. Background, I was born in, I'm just kidding, I won't go back that far. Actually, I've been with the city since 2001. My 20th anniversary just came up, so that's very cool, very proud of that. I started with the city after obtaining my master's in recreation administration from St. Mary's College of Moraga, or California in Moraga, and started with the city in 2001. And since then, I've been kind of overseeing a lot of our programs and a lot of our facilities. Most recently became the recreation superintendent in 2018. My role as recreation superintendent is really to be there for our recreation supervisors on a daily basis in terms of all the operations that we have within the recreation division. And I mean, everything from community centers, sports, and field rentals to special events. I see myself as just support for our supervisors and trying to help them through daily interactions with the public and daily programs. So, you know, that's kind of my role and how long I've been with the city.
Awesome, amazing. So thanks, Jon, for being here. And yes, congratulations on your 20-year anniversary. Awesome. Okay, so you guys know all about events, and I'm ready to ask you about that. Okay, are you ready?
Ready, let's go.
All right, to begin, what would you say is the overarching goal or vision or purpose of the Special Events Department at the city?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think first, let me clarify. So special events is actually a section within the Community Services Department. So for those looking to host an event, if you go to the city's website, the department you're going to be looking for is Community Services Department. The section is special events, which resides under the Recreation Division. CSD is actually made up, when I say CSD, Community Services Department, is made up of library and recreation. So we have two sides of the shop, and the special events process and the coding of special events occurs under the recreation side. So just for clarification on that, in case people needed that. The function of the special events section, it's fourfold. They operate and plan for our the city's Pixie Woods amusement park. Additionally, we host and plan annual celebrations for the city, whether it's 4th of July, annual tree lighting, Movies at the Point, which is a series at Weber Point where we show free movies to the community. And then additionally, we rent property, city property, for private events, whether those are wedding receptions, quinceañeras, those types of events that are private in nature. And then I think what we're talking about more today is the special event permitting process. And the role of that, ever since I've been with the city, it's really been preached to me that it was developed to really centralize the process. Prior to, I think it was 2001, 2000, it was a decentralized process. So if I'm an organizer, I have to actually physically go to multiple departments
Oh,
to,
wow.
to get requirements, to get fees, to pay those fees, and really is kind of it was an idea to really create a one-stop shop for organizers. And what we really pride ourselves on in the special events section and that team is really being open and transparent to the process so that organizers have the most information so that their event can be as successful as possible. We really see our role as customer service friendly, working with the departments through pre-event meetings, whether that's PD, fire, public works. We represent both the city and the organizer to an extent in making sure that we make the event as safe and as successful as possible.
Amazing. So you guys consolidated all of that work of going to the different departments. Like it could have been a headache, and now you take it all on. Your roles. Awesome. Okay. So which venues specifically does your division oversee?
So our section oversees the downtown plazas and parks. So the Carly Square, Janet Lee Plaza. We also oversee Weber Point Event Center, so that awesome space right here overseeing the water. We also have the historic Civic Auditorium. You can have events there, whether it's going to be a quince or a wedding like John mentioned, or if you'd like to have an MMA fight or a boxing fight or a concert, you can have it there too. Different parks throughout Stockton like Victory Park, Oak Park. If you'd like to do a street closure for a parade or a fun run, we've done that downtown too. We also have our showmobile. You can rent that for your various events. But yeah, so all these downtown spots here in Stockton. If you have a question and if you're curious to see if it's a space that we rent out, just give us a call, or you can visit us in our office. We're inside City Hall on the first floor. So just come by and just ask.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you. And could you share a little bit about how many permanent events are hosted in downtown Stockton yearly, usually?
Yeah, so in 2019, well, when things are a little bit more normal, we permitted about roughly between 30 to 40 events. So Stockton is a pretty busy town, and we have lots of events. So all you got to do is find them.
Okay. And which downtown venues are the most popular or most inquired about usually?
Well, the most inquired, well, we have two most inquired spots. It's whether you want to be indoors or outdoors. So we got the Weber Point Event Center, which can host anything from a concert to a huge festival. And then we also have the Civic Auditorium, where you can do something as small as if you want to do something private, like a baby shower, to a large concert. You can do that in there too. So two great locations, endless possibilities of what you can do in there. It's really what you want to do.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
The Civic Auditorium is a great historic spot. I believe it was built in 1920. 1925. So it's a great spot. It has a lot of history, especially for boxing. So we've been seeing a lot more boxing events inside the Civic Auditorium. So if you're interested, just reach out to us.
That's very interesting, actually. I didn't realize boxing was popular in that venue. Are there any venues that you think are underutilized, or that you kind of wish people would ask about more because you think they're really cool?
Yeah, the plazas downtown. We have some great spots, and it's right by the water. They're really meant for smaller events. I would say for less than 500 people or so. So it really depends on the ideas that we'd like to bring downtown. So if you'd like to do something like a small, like an exhibitor event, kind of sharing information to the folks in downtown, just a great space. It's right by your office.
Janet Lee Plaza.
Yeah, I think what's really unique about the city is downtown. There's really a variety of venues. So you may think Weber Point is too large of a venue, or the cost may be too large, but we do have a variety of other options, like Laura mentioned, with the Carly. That's a beautiful backdrop with the Stockton Hotel, historic Stockton Hotel. There is water that plays into that, more of an intimate setting. And we have had organizers that have really had aspirations of getting to Weber Point, but they start at like a DeCarly or an MLK plaza, and they grow their audience, they grow their brand, and then they graduate up into that Weber Point Event Center, and it ends up really helping them be successful.
Yes.
Amazing. So start with the plazas and then upgrade to Weber Point.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. So I would like to now ask, when is an event permit required from your department? Or like what triggers that requirement for an event?
I promise I won't read answers except for this one because it's specific to the code. So I brought the code as defined in the special event code. And just so for those that aren't aware, section 12.72 is kind of the code for special events. And the definition reads as use of any city park, building, street, or other facility when an organized activity is conducted to which the public is invited or admitted with a common purpose and under the direction and control of a person or any one person of the following factors exist. That's a long-winded answer, sorry. There's a fee charged or money is collected. Alcohol or food will be sold. The city facility will be the general public, or the general public will be denied access to parts of it or the whole. The location will be used beyond its normal capacity or typical range of uses. The proposed use is likely to infringe on others who utilize that location. So like a park, that's an open space. On a Saturday, it's used by the general public. If someone wants to have an event, or is an inviting public and it infringes on their use, then we have to look at it as a special event. That kind of explains that. And then the last one is the activity is on a street or other public place. It impacts and disrupts normal traffic patterns. So parades, those types of things that we permit in the downtown area and on other streets. So that's kind of the definition. I apologize, it's very dry, but I wanted to make sure to be very specific.
No, I think that's great. You gave us the exact words. So to help people, if let's say I am hosting like a private birthday party at a public park, would that trigger your event permit requirement?
No, it wouldn't. We have throughout, I think we have 56 city parks right now that we manage, or Public Works manages, and we actually through our department lease space in the picnic areas. It's a $55 fee, I believe, for an all-day use. As long as there is a set guest list and the capacity of that picnic space is being used within that limitation. So if it's 50 people, and it's under that amount, then you're using it for what it's intended to be used for, which is a private gathering, a family barbecue, a family reunion, an anniversary, a baby shower, whatever that is. The things that would trigger is if you're inviting the public to it, that you don't have a set guest list, you're feeding the public, you have amplified sound that it impacts others within the park. Those are some of the common triggers that we see that constitute it as a special event. So there are options to do private type events or activities on city property, utilizing existing amenities like picnic sites, that people wouldn't have to go through our process.
Okay, so not for a birthday party, but if I wanted to play live music or have a band, then that probably would trigger this requirement.
Yes, it would.
And do you think it's best practice for people to maybe just ask you? Is there any kind of like level of attendance that maybe they should definitely go through the city first? Like, is it if they're having 100 people, or is there anything you could say about that?
I would just say if you have questions on whether or not your event is considered a special event, just call our office as soon as possible. Ask as many questions as you'd like. We're just here to make sure things are safe, that we can help you if you do need to go through the process, and that you have as much time so you can fulfill those requirements and also get that marketing out. I think one of the biggest things is getting the word out and spreading the word so folks can enjoy that special event that you're putting together. So
well, and I think also, Courtney, and and I mentioned before, we really pride ourselves on educating the public, and there are many times where, as the supervisor in my previous life or previous job as supervisor over special events, I would get a call and they would say, hey, I plan on doing this in a park. Is that considered a special event? And instead of saying, yes, you must go through our process, I would say, well, tell me what's within your event. And if there was a trigger that created it as a special event, have you thought of maybe taking that element out so that you don't have to go through a full process? So we are here, not physically in the special event office anymore, but Sherry Riley, the supervisor, and Laura Garcia, they field those questions all the time. And so it's not just trying to get people to go through our process for process sake. It's also educating them that, hey, did you think of maybe doing it this way versus this way? And that may not require you then to get a special event permit. We're not teaching them how to circumvent, just educating them on what are the triggers that create it. There are times when we educate and they say, no, I want to go through that process because I want to make sure that my activity and my event is legitimate and it's recognized by the city.
Yes.
We totally appreciate that and we welcome that. But at the same time, if it is, like you said, a private birthday party and you don't have maybe not private, but it's a birthday party and you don't have a set guest list, we may say, hey, have a set guest list and your capacity is 50 people. If you meet that, then you're not a special event.
Amazing. So you guys are the wealth of information. If anyone is, concerned, they should just kind of ask you. You can help them. You'll understand a little bit more about each event. Okay.
Yeah. Don't be scared to call us. Don't be scared to call us. We are here to help.
Don't be afraid. So I do have a question before I talk in more detail about the process itself. I do want to ask, what are the repercussions that someone could face if they are hosting an event that would have required a permit and they didn't obtain one? So like, what have you seen happen as a repercussion?
Well, we actually don't see the repercussion because we're not the enforcement department. So when someone fails to obtain the appropriate permit for a special event, it becomes an enforceable action by the police department. We're not a part of that process. We don't tell people, or we don't call the police department and say, hey, we heard about this illegal event, go shut it down. It's really typically driven by a citizen complaint. So what we hear a lot of is noise ordinance or noise levels that impact neighborhoods where police will get called and taken out. Typically, again, I don't know specifics on what they enforce or what the violation is. That's really a question for Stockton PD. But I know that the police department is willing to work with the public, and I've been told by officers where hey, I had to go out to this park this weekend, but we just asked them to turn down the music and there was no big deal. So I don't think, again, we don't have time to, and nor do we want to sit behind a computer and look for social media posts of events that haven't gone through a process and then call them or call PD and try and go shut it down. That's not what we try and do. We are not the enforcement department. We're here to educate and help people through the process should they choose to.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And your role versus PD's role when it comes to enforcing about special events. Awesome. Okay, so now I do want to ask, what exactly does the permitting process entail for anyone who wants to use a city venue?
Well, great. You can start by going on our website, on the City of Stockton website, looking up at special events. You can find all the different venues and facilities that you can choose from. We also have our application. Go ahead and print that out, start looking over it, get familiar with the application and the questions that we may ask. It's more of a reminder on both ends for the organizer and ourselves to kind of say, hey, have you thought about this? Are you going to have food at your event? Are you going to have any portable toilets? So we start off with that. Give us a call and see if that facility or that the park or Weber Point Event Center is available. And set a time with us. Come into the office and see if the date that you want in 2022 is available. It's coming by shortly now. From there, we do set up a pre-event meeting, and that's where we invite the various departments within the city that we feel that would be involved with that event. Like John mentioned earlier, it could be PD, it could be parks, it could be facilities, our fire prevention office if you're deciding to have outdoor cooking. So all those different departments, we invite them so that they can review your application, and you can also ask questions if you have any concerns or anything that needs to be clarified during that time. The pre-event meeting is really, really easy. Don't be scared. It's only about 15 to 30 minutes long, and we're there, and I'll be there to help along the way to kind of direct the meeting and make sure that we kind of check all those boxes and let the organizer feel prepared for their event. After that, we receive all the different requirements and different fees that might be coming from these different departments. We bring that together, we present that to the organizer, and from there, that's when they have this time frame to get these things back to our office, so we can go ahead and bring those different elements back to those different departments, make sure everything is checked off, and then you're set for your event. We really recommend that for the events over 2,000 people to start planning at least 6 months in advance. That gives you enough time to book all of your bands, get all your food vendors, get all of your vendors that are going to sell items at your event together, and also get your marketing out. And then during that time, if anything comes up, you still have time to correct those items, or make the arrangements if you need to. So just come by and visit our office and get that application in.
Well, and I think Laura mentioned something that's very important. On our website, we maintain a lot of special event documents that can assist potential organizers through the process. We have a special event guide that really is kind of the A to Z of what to expect through our process. And then there's actually a page dedicated to just special event documents, everything from security requirements to outdoor cooking requirements,
alcohol management.
It's really a page that is a resource that we update continually, and it's really a resource for organizers to get used to the verbiage, get used to the process before they may even call us. Typically an event for the code, it requires at minimum 45 days in advance. We caution people with that when they come to us with a new event 45 days before and say, here's my application, because it really puts a strain on them as the organizer to get all the things done that Laura talked about and market in enough time to really have a successful event. And a lot of times we say, hey, it's only 45 days before your event. Are you sure you maybe pick a different day? Push this out maybe a month or two so you can get the appropriate marketing and you can get all the requirements and you need to. We also have our seasoned veteran type organizers that do this on an annual basis. And it's like clockwork. They know exactly what to expect, what the requirements are going to be. And with their application, they'll have already submitted their insurance and their vendors, all their applications for vendors. So those ones that we've worked with, it's a little bit easier for 45 days. But as Laura suggested, the more planning, the better in terms of giving you enough time to get all those things done.
Okay, so your advice is 45 days out, but the pressure is really being put on the event planner themselves, because there may be certain special other things they need to submit beyond the application, which they may not have ready. Okay.
Yeah, the way the code is written, Courtney, is it's 45 days we would accept an application, and then we have a responsibility to respond within, I think it's 15 days with all the requirements. And then they only have 10 days after that, which is 20 days before the event, to get all the requirements in. And when you're talking about insurance and, waivers, fees, it becomes burdensome to the organizer. And really the 45 days is kind of the last minute type thing. We really recommend, anywhere between 3 to 6 months is kind of that perfect kind of time. And if you can afford it, I would definitely, if you're investing as an organizer so much money and time into these events, and you're looking for return on that investment, we would say definitely even plan a year in advance. And really take the process very slow and understand it, and really bug her on a daily basis for a year. That's what she wants.
Perfect. Okay, so what are some of those additional requirements that maybe you find people don't expect that they'll have to gather, and just anything that you want people to be aware of that they might be surprised by?
Well, and that's where the application really helps. It kind of reminds the organizers, hey, these are some additional things that you may be required to have. That might be security, depending on how large the event is. It can vary from 10 to 20 guards, depending on what they're doing, if they're going to have alcohol at their event and the number of people that they're expecting to attend. Other things that organizers might not think about are the portable toilets. If you're going to offer drinks and food, It's just a common courtesy and also safety to have those portable toilets there at the site. Also dumpsters. You got to make sure you got to dump all your trash. So those are kind of the things behind the scenes that organizers might not think about, but they will be required for their event, just depending on what they want to offer to the public. Other things from other departments that organizers can prepare for too is possibly an inspection by fire if you're going to have outdoor cooking and food trucks. Police fees, if you're going to have alcohol at your event, it's likely that they may require that they're there. So those are all the additional fees and permits that might be included, but it just really depends on your event. This is just kind of a general thing. It could be large, small, just depending on the size and what you're trying to do. So those are just the starting points, I would say. Yeah.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, John.
Oh, no, I was just saying that was a good overview. It's really difficult for us to name every requirement out there just because every event's different, and elements within those events. You may take two concerts. Let's say she's running a concert, I'm running a concert, but our requirements could be, most of them are going to be similar, but some of them can be very different. It's all based on what's going to happen at that concert. Is there alcohol?
Mm-hmm.
She has it, I don't. Then I may not need as many security guards. You know, there are different things for each event that really are tailored based on the amenities or the attractions in that event.
Great. No, that makes perfect sense. And I'm glad that you mentioned the security requirement. I do feel that sometimes people are very surprised about, you know, oh, I need to hire someone from PD to be there. Okay, so with all of that information being shared, what can you tell us about costs? Maybe you can give us the base application cost, and then also tell us how cost is determined for various events.
All right, so we do have an application fee of $55. So if you do decide to fill out an application and submit it to our office, you would need that for us to accept your application. And depending on where you want to have your event, we have various fees for that. To secure a date, you would need to put in a deposit. So we'll use Weber Point as our example. So Weber Point Event Center. John wants to have a huge concert next year in May. And so he's come in, he's filled out his application, he submitted his $55 application fee within our office and is interested in a date, it's available. So he's going to submit his application with the $1,000 deposit. That deposit will be returned to him as long as there's no damages or additional fees that he's incurred after his event. And then with that, just for the facility and using the space, there is a fee depending on whether or not you're a nonprofit or a for-profit event. If you're having it during the week or the weekend, those are all different elements that would affect the fee that you would incur. So all these fees are available online. You can find it there. But let's just say John is a for-profit event and he'd like to have something in the weekend and he's charging, it would be $4,348 just to rent out the facility. But this doesn't include all the other additional costs that he may incur, whether it's coming from PD, fire,
City electrician.
The electrician, yeah, all those different elements. So this is just the starting point for him.
Okay, and that fee that you just gave, just the starting point, what kind of hours does that include?
All day.
Yes.
So it's, yeah, so it's I believe the fee is set at 8 a.m. to midnight. So it encompasses the full day. One thing is that's one of our highest rates at Weber Point, or it is our highest rate.
Mm-hmm.
We really pride ourselves on having a diverse
Yes.
amount of fees, whether, like Laura said, for nonprofits, it comes at a cheaper rate. If you have it on a Friday night versus a Saturday night, it's a huge difference in expense. We look at peak days as weekends, and we look at non-peak days as weekdays. So we try and have affordable fees for everyone to maybe fit their budget and the type of event they're trying to run, and it gives them options. They may come in and think, hey, I want to do a Saturday night at Weber Point, $4,000+. Oh, well, I can get it on a Friday for only half that much. I'm going to run it on a Friday night. And that's where we go back to educating our customers and helping them through the process. And that's what Laura and her team is there for. And we may be able to convince them, hey, maybe not a Saturday night, but what if you ran it on a Friday night? You reduce your fees for the facility right there alone. So, but we pride ourselves on having a range and trying to package as much stuff together as possible. We really trying to be competitive in the marketplace. We know there's other venues out there. At the same time, we realize that we're trying to promote more events to happen and occur downtown. And so we try and keep them as competitive as possible.
Amazing. So I have some follow-up questions based on what you just shared. I hope you can answer them. One of them is, as far as like, let's say it's the same criteria, but it is a nonprofit. What kind of price difference would we be looking at?
Yeah. So the price difference from $4,348 to a nonprofit, it would be $2,251. Huge price difference.
Great.
Nonprofits come over to Everpoint Event Center and use the facility for their usually a free event to the public, something that benefits the community, which is awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, almost half. Okay. And then another question I have is, what if someone does only want to use a facility for like a few hours? Do you ever like change the price for that, or do they have to pay for the full day?
Yeah, so if we're still speaking of Everpoint Event Center, we do have some different options. We have a 3-hour minimum that we can do for $250 an hour. So that's an option too.
Amazing.
Yeah, same with Civic Auditorium. So there's lots of options there too. You can do an 8-hour rental or a full day. It's just a really great option. And like Jon mentioned, very competitive rates with surrounding venues too. Something great with the Civic Auditorium is you can bring in your own catered food. You can have alcohol at that venue as well. And we have the tables and chairs that are included. So it's just a great space, and sky's the limit. It's an open space that you can decorate. I've seen so many different types of setups within that facility. It's amazing.
Very cool setups.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, to me, what I'm hearing is you guys are actually really flexible. So this is very interesting and cool. Pretty much any event type, length, and day, you could work with someone. Awesome.
Well, and when we say work with someone, we can work within the policies and the fees set by council. We don't have the ability to waive those fees or anything like that. We have to follow those, but we make those recommendations to council on an annual basis. So as a part of the budget process, we just instituted a fee at the Civic Auditorium this last fiscal year, where we had organizers that would have to rent the main hall, south hall, and north hall separately of each other, and that price was very large. So we put in a rate that was for rent all 3 halls for this amount, and it reduced the total amount. So those are the things that we recommend to council. Council more times than not approves those rates. So it's really us pushing that forward for approval and really listening to our customers. So we get that feedback and we're like, oh yeah, that'd be great to have a one rate where we just, it's all inclusive, and we put that forward for recommendation.
That is amazing. Very amazing. I love that. Okay, I have one last question about permitting requirements. And this question is about COVID. So are there any new like COVID related requirements that are a part of the special events application process right now? Or is there anything people should be aware of when hosting events to abide by COVID-19 protocols as far as the city department is concerned?
Yeah, so we as a city, we follow guidance at the state level and local level from health officials. Like many industries, we followed guidance change over the time of COVID, and we were anticipating a lot more stringent requirements when we reopened. And what we found is that they're really, in terms of our venues, they didn't impact them as much because the state was really looking at what they call mega events. Mega events are any events that are larger than 10,000 outdoors or larger than 5,000 indoors, and those are way above our capacities at our facilities. So most recently, the state did come out with a new guidance on mega events for indoors, and they lowered that threshold from 5,000 to 1,000. So the Civic does hold over 1,000 people in it, so we have to be cognizant of that requirement, which is the organizer has to verify proof of vaccine or a negative test within 48 hours of the event. We put that responsibility and onus back on the organizer. But that's right now the only COVID related requirement that we have to talk to the organizers about. We obviously recommend, even at our own events, we have sanitation stations, we have masks available for the public. So we recommend those things to our organizers, because what we try and tell them is if I'm a ticket holder, or before I even buy a ticket, I want to make sure I'm going to a safe event, especially in the time of COVID, right? A lot of people are questioning, hey, you know, what are they going to do there? Are they going to be required to do this? Are they going to be required to do that? I don't feel safe. We ask that organizers be proactive in that and have you know, sanitation stations or more hand washing stations, have masks available for people that request it. You may want to mandate your masks at your event or certain areas where there can't be spacing. So we have those discussions, but there are no real requirements other than the threshold of that 1,000 people indoors.
Okay, great. No, that's great to know. And touching a little bit more on the pandemic, but how has it affected your department, or just the number of applications that you received maybe? And have you seen this year, are things ramping back up to levels that they were prior to the start of COVID? What can you share?
Yeah, so well, in 2020, we did have a pretty much a pause on all events with everything kind of closing down. So we really started permitting events starting in June. For our private event rentals inside the Civic Auditorium, it's as if it was 2019. Yes,
business as usual.
Yeah, so we have it's been pretty much booked every weekend. So weddings, quinceañeras, things like that. We've definitely seen a motivation from our organizers to start booking their events and having events outdoors over at the Weber Point Event Center. It definitely isn't as many as 2019, but definitely going in that trend of pretty much what we saw prior to COVID. So organizers are really wanting to have these events for the public, and there is a need. I know a lot of folks will want to come out for events, but with the uncertainty with the pandemic, especially the winter months, we've definitely seen a small decline in.
Well, and I think with our private rentals, we've seen more than normal levels, like Laura had said. I think with events and organizers, at least what I'm hearing is there are event organizers that are fearful of another shutdown or another, more restrictions at the state or local level, and so they don't want to put forth a ton of effort or money towards an event that may be considered to be shut down. We're here to educate them on what we know of and what we're requiring of events with COVID. But there is definitely an undertow or underlining kind of fear from some organizers to run large events right now, just because it's the fear of the unknown. And but again, we're here to educate. We're here to help them through the process. And like Laura said, there are event organizers that are just like, this is what I want to do. I want to bring community together. I want to celebrate our diversity and celebrate our facilities. And they're going through every step possible to host their event because they feel that's that important. And we want to be here for them to do that.
Okay. Yes, that makes perfect sense. And what kind of, I want to change gears a little bit away from the pandemic. And I want to ask, what advice would you give anyone who is wanting to host an event in downtown, whether it's in the streets, whether it's at a plaza, whether it's at Weber Point? Like, what are some common errors or pitfalls that we can help them avoid as they're making their plans?
I think the most common mistake, or not error, but something where we can all improve upon, is just reaching out to our section a little bit sooner. Again, it really is giving yourself enough time to get these requirements fulfilled and to also get the marketing done for your event. The more time that you can get the word out and to get people excited about your event, the more successful it can be. And this also gives the organizer enough time to get all of these requirements together, make a plan B, C, D, if things change or if something is going to affect their event. And that's just my biggest suggestion. Get your information to us sooner so that we can help you
Yeah.
make your event successful.
Just call us, and you don't even have to turn in an application to call us. We're here. We're waiting for those calls so that we can educate. I think from my perspective in my time with special events, and even kind of what I'm seeing now, related to where I see some pitfalls, is organizers that think they know the marketplace. Let's say, they may come from a different city and they don't really know about Stockton or what Stockton is looking for in terms of events to support. So they think that maybe if I ran it in this city, it would work here as well, and they don't understand that marketplace. So what I have seen is the successful organizers that come from all of other cities, they take the time and they actually go to events in Stockton. They survey attendees. Hey, what would you come out for? What would you pay in terms of ticket price for this type of event? And those are the ones that tend to be more successful. The organizers that just think they know, hey, this is how I know how to do it, and it's going to work no matter what, and they're not as flexible. They tend to have some of those issues with an unsuccessful event. At least from their perspective, they may not get the amount of attendees that they want. We still see it as a successful event because it was safe. It was something for the community. It was another event we can put under our belts. But from the event organizers, a lot of them are looking at how many people come through with their tickets, and they rate their success on that. So I educate organizers. We educate organizers to really research Stockton, research what events are already out there. Try not to duplicate a lot of the similar types of events right near each other. And then also, if you're coming from another city, really take the time to come to events in Stockton to really talk to the attendees and the patrons that come to them, so that you can run the best event you can.
Yeah. Oh, I got one more suggestion.
Yeah.
Just making sure you have enough event staff from the organizer's side. Having enough monitors, yes. So the more help, the better. The biggest struggle I'll see sometimes is an organizer has a really small, tight-knit team, but guess what? They had more people attend their event and they just didn't have enough help on their side. So just find your volunteers, find more monitors, find additional help to help you run your event on the day of your event, so you can focus on the more important things, making sure things are running smoothly rather than running left and right. That's just one big suggestion I'd also add in for the organizers. Yeah,
it's definitely a good one.
Awesome. So let you guys know early, do some market analysis, and make sure you're properly staffed to cover.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, that's great advice. I have just a few more questions for you guys. One that I think that's important is, what's like the most common question that you are asked at your department, and how do you answer it?
So it really comes down to fees. You know, how much is it going to cost for me to put this event together? And like Jon and I mentioned, it's really hard to give you a concrete answer. It really depends on what you're going to have at your event. How large, how small, alcohol, no alcohol, all those things. So the sooner that you come out to us, the sooner that you can get those costs, because we'll get all the different departments that need to be involved into one room for you, and get those answers to you as soon as possible.
Gotcha. So everyone wants to know the fees, but they can't really know, and you can't know until they talk to you.
I think the suggestion we made earlier is really go to our fee schedule on the city's website. It's under the budget page, and you can look at the venue, so that at least you get the base rent of what the cost is to host an event there, and then we can work through some of the other fees in general. But until we get an application and that application is fully complete, we can't give you a concrete answer on all those fees. We've also seen where an organizer comes in with a bunch of different types of things that they want to run, realize that they don't have the budget to run those because of all the fees associated, and they scale that back. So we can be very flexible during the process of, oh, well, I'm not gonna have alcohol now. Okay, well then you don't need PD on site. You may not need as many security guards. So we can really be flexible and fluid through the whole special event permitting process.
As long as they're communicating with you, then
For
you
sure,
can.
for sure.
That's
Yeah, we
amazing.
don't want to find out about things on the day of the event, for sure.
Surprise. Okay. And so regarding marketing, and you were talking about time for promotion, I do want to ask, does the city help push out any events that are public, they're going to be hosted for the public and they're at a city venue. Does the city help at all to promote those?
We have to be very conscious in that, and because we don't want event organizers to feel like we helped one event over another event. So we tend not to push out marketing material. But what the city does have is they have the option. They have a solution for organizers that want to get the word out about their event. The city's website has a special events calendar in which any organizer can go to and put their event along with marketing information, links to their website, links to ticketing. And they can do that on their own, and we would help them through that process of where to locate it, how to submit the event, and that's really kind of our solution for that. I hope you can understand if you know, let's say you're running an event, Laura's running an event, and I push out information about yours, but she feels like I didn't on hers. It's unfair. So there's some subjectivity to that and sensitivity to that. So we really utilize the city's website and the event calendar.
Okay, and is that just the general City of Stockton website, or is that your guys' website? Okay.
No, it's the City of Stockton.
Okay, perfect. So we can share that link in the comment section for people if they need it.
Great.
Awesome. So that's great to know about promotion. They just have to go ahead and put it in the calendar, but not necessarily any other special support from at the city level.
Right.
Okay. So are there any changes that we can look forward to when it comes to special event permitting in the next year? Anything we can expect?
Yeah, well, recently the city has just passed temporary cannabis events. So the special events office will be permitting all those type of events. If you're interested, just go ahead and do your research with what needs to be done on the state level, and then reach out to us here at our office to see if that's available to you. The two sites would be Weber Point Event Center and the Civic Auditorium.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the city council made some changes to the municipal code under staff recommendation, and one of which, and a lot of it was surrounding cannabis, both businesses in Stockton, as well as this new, it's not new, it's a couple of years old, but the city's been a little behind on that because we needed to see from the local jurisdiction what we needed to do legally. But we now are open for temporary cannabis events. So basically adding cannabis to a concert or to, you know, any type of event. It constitutes it as now a temporary cannabis. It goes through the same special event permitting process. The only difference is we take the extra step of making sure that both the organizers and the vendors are licensed at the state level. They have a review board that has all of the organizers and vendors that have been pre-approved to sell and distribute. And so we take that through the extra step. We're actually working with an organizer right now on an upcoming event that we're really excited about. So that's something new for special events.
Yeah.
That's very new. Very interesting. So this is for vending of marijuana or cannabis.
It would be an event. Yeah, it would be an event that would have cannabis at the event, but that would, there are different types of rules, I would say, from the state that you need to follow. So do your research first, because there are a lot of steps, and I believe it's about 60 days in advance that you need to do that with the state and working with the city too. So just do your research is what we'd recommend. Other things that you might see that's new with our section 2 is we'll be pushing out a new application. So be on the lookout for that, a little bit more friendly for the organizers and folks that are interested in having their events. And yeah, just look out for our next Movies at the Point on October 29th. We're at Weber Point, so we'll be having Cruella, the new movie, playing underneath the stars.
Awesome. Those are great events, and lots of people come out and see it. You know, I think that's a great family-friendly event that you guys host.
Well, the other thing I'd like to highlight is that we recently were awarded through the council for budget to add 4 additional concerts in the park to be hosted at parks throughout Stockton. So Concerts in the Park has been historically done at Victory Park. The team right now is planning on some upcoming events of concerts in parks across the city. So you know, the the city of Stockton citizens should look forward to that and look at a park near them to join and come to a concert free of charge. And so we were just awarded that budget in July, and so we're busy planning those right now.
Amazing. Amazing. More activities, more events for locals to do. That's great. Awesome. Okay, so I have my very last question, and then I will ask you a few of your questions. So how can people get in touch with you if they do have further questions or want more information about the special events permitting process? Where can they go?
Yeah, they can visit us at City Hall. We're on the first floor, right across where you pay your water bill. We're on the left side of the elevator. So just come on by between 1 to 5, or you can come and give us a call. 209-937-8119 is our general line. Set up an appointment if you're interested in checking out one of the sites, checking out Civic Auditorium, or just have general questions and you want some time with someone in my team or myself. Just set an appointment with us, and we'd love to share that information with you. Most of the information you can find on our website too, on our City of Stockton website under special events. Just scroll through all those pages, look through all those documents, read the special event guide. That is so helpful for all of our organizers. It just pretty much lists everything that we recommend. On our documents page, you can print everything out if you like and check out, hey, you know, if I have this many people at my event, how many restrooms or portable toilets should I have? All of those different little recommendations are on there. So we try our best to give all this information out to the public so that the organizer is as prepared as they can be. And again, our pre-event meetings are super friendly and super helpful. Don't be intimidated. We're there to have you ask questions, and we're here to just learn more about what you want to offer to the folks here in the city of Stockton.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for answering all of my questions. I learned quite a bit about the permitting process. And now I have just a few viewer questions, and are you guys ready?
Sure.
Okay. So the first question is from Kai Tolliver. He's asking, well, first he says, thanks for your time today. What's the most satisfying or rewarding part of your jobs?
Oh, well, it's really just, you know, after doing all the requirements and all the behind the scenes work, it's really seeing the event come together and having all the different people come out to these events for the organizers, and seeing how successful it is, and seeing their idea come to life. And also when we put our events together as a city of Stockton, all the free community events that we offer to the different families here in town, whether it's going to be a movie or a concert, or some type of educational event. It's just really nice to see all the smiling faces and bringing people together in the community together into one space just to celebrate for whatever it may be.
And I think our department's tagline really kind of amplifies what we really get out of it. And our tagline is community growth here. So for us, everything we do, whether it's library services, recreation services, special events, it's really with that idea that we're trying to grow community, and everything that we do brings community together. And that's really, for me, that's the satisfaction I get out, just like Laura.
Amazing. You just love seeing people enjoying our spaces and getting together and growing as a community.
For sure.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Okay, the next question. This is from Johnny Palacios. He says, hi, Laura and John. The past year has been challenging for all of us. I'm so happy to see people starting to come out again to the Weber Point water feature and movies at the Point. What was the most challenging obstacle for you during this time?
You know, I think it's just really encouraging people if they feel comfortable with coming out to the events. I think everybody's on their own pace with what they want to do, if they want to come out or not. So I think for all events in general, it's really getting back to the numbers from pre-COVID and just kind of getting used to that and just taking it slow. So I think that's where.
I think also what's been challenging probably is the timeline given, because once the state reopened June 15th, everybody's like, I want to do an event, and there really wasn't a lot of time. So Laura's team Sherry, Red's team has really been working diligently with organizers to kind of ramp up speed. To get really, most organizers give us the couple months in advance notice, and now everything's 45 days. So we're just really slammed right now. That's been the challenge for us right now.
Yeah. So fortunately, lots of these organizers have been pretty lenient, flexible, and we're working together to make sure that they can get their event to happen.
Yeah.
Thanks, John, for mentioning that.
Yeah. We're
Everyone's
exhausted.
fighting to get it in during the summertime.
Yeah.
And get the event to happen. Okay. The next question is from Michael Huber. His question is, because K-rails are so expensive as barriers to use for events, is there any plan to allow other things that could be used that maybe aren't as cost prohibitive in the city's future plans? So he's asking about the barriers, whether maybe there's some other material that could be used moving forward.
Yeah, I think, and I'll let Laura answer as well. I think K-rails were a necessity in the sense that, and they still are. So it all depends on the venue. It depends on what they're using them for, or what the requirement is for. Typically, they're used when we close a street down. So, if it's a parade or a rolling closure, like a fun run, those K-rails aren't necessary. It's typically when you're occupying what's considered a roadway or for vehicle transportation. We need to put those K-rails up for the safety of people attending. Unfortunately, we've seen too many tragic stories of events across the world where motorists have accidentally wandered into a street that was being occupied for an event, and people have lost their lives tragically. So the K-rails were the city's response to protecting those at the event. We have worked with organizers. In addition to K-rail, we've worked with organizers on water-filled barriers, which I understand a little bit more cost effective. It really depends on the type of event, as we mentioned before, and the duration which they're occupying the space. But I believe, and I've been out of the game, the special event game in terms of day-to-day for a while, so I'll leave it up to Laura, but I believe water barriers are a possibility.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of those decisions do go to our police department that works with special events. So depending on the location, what type of event you're having, how many people are there, the time of your event, that would pretty much help PD determine what requirements they'd like for your street closure. So for sometimes it's just a CSO. And sometimes it would be a K-rail, just depending on where you're going to be placing those closures. So
yeah, historically, what I've seen is K-rails are necessary when you're occupying a major thoroughfare or a major roadway that has a lot of traffic throughout the day. If it's like a side street or less traffic is going down that pattern, or the traffic patterns are determined that it's a lot less than a major thoroughfare, then they may change the type of barrier required. Like Laura said, they may staff it with a police officer in a car versus, and make sure there's a lot more signage just to prepare motorists as they approach a closure. Hey, this is the detour. But when we're talking about major thoroughfares and people are occupying those for long periods of time, we really have to consider the safety of those in attendance.
Of course, of course. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And I am surprised to hear that there is an alternative in the form of, some kind of water barrier. And that's amazing. That is really cool to know. Okay, so there are no more questions. I see one comment from, I know you guys made it, woo. There's a comment from Mateus Bombal. He's saying, thanks for the conversation. Friends of the Fox Theater classic movie series at the Bob Hope Theater. So maybe he's one of the hosts of that, but he's saying thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes. So I would like to, at this time, just remind everyone, so if you're watching us live, you've already found us on Facebook, but this video will be uploaded to YouTube. Our channel is Downtown Stockton. We also have our Instagram, which is at Downtown Stockton, and Twitter at Downtown STKN. And with that, I would like to say thank you so much, viewers, for tuning in. And thank you so much, Laura and John. You have shared so much beautiful information with us today. I hope that everyone who watched is going to be motivated and excited to host an event with you guys. Thank you so much.
Courtney, we appreciate your questions as well as those that viewed and the comments. We really appreciate it. We hope if anything came across from this this exercise that you realize we're very approachable. We don't bite, and we're here to help. And so please reach out to us. We don't want you to feel overwhelmed. The event process can feel overwhelming at times, but we are really here to help you navigate that process.
Yes.
I definitely picked up on that. So I hope that the viewers did too. So
And we like to have fun. And we like to have fun.
I could tell.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again, Laura and John. And with that, I would just like to say, have a great day downtown.